Today's story has one of the most controversial, twisted endings in all the stories that I've come across. It truly depicts the unthinkable. Did the teenage mother kill and burn her own baby? Or did the baby die of natural causes in her own womb? But before we get into today's story, if you are a fan of the true, dark, and mysterious tales, then make sure to like this video and subscribe, as it really helps out a beginner YouTube channel like myself. And I'm still learning to be a better storyteller, so please let me know your thoughts on the case in the comment below, and I will make sure to respond back to you. So without further ado, let's get into today's story. Carlisle is a small city in the southern part of Ohio, with only about 5,000 residents, and in it lived the Richardson's family. The Richardson's family were a picture-perfect, all-American family. Kim and Scott were a happily married couple who were the proud parents of their two children, Skylar and Jackson. And the two children were athletically gifted from a young age, and so Jackson played on the high school basketball team, while Skylar was a cheerleader. But Skylar wasn't just an average cheerleader. She will be the cheerleader that will be tossed up into the air to perform all the difficult acrobatic movements. And Skylar was extremely serious about her cheerleading career, causing her to be abnormally obsessed about her physicalities, especially when it came down to her weight. And so in an attempt to minimize her calories intake and to maintain her athletic figure, she would often find herself starving, and eventually would develop an eating disorder. However, on weekends, the neighbors saw the couple Kim and Scott either grilling food or doing some yard work, while their two children Skylar and Jackson could be heard laughing and playing with the family dog. The fire pit in their backyard burned brightly at birthday parties, graduation ceremonies, or any celebratory events that the family had. The backyard was a refuge for the Richardson's family, and the patio was a peaceful place to lounge around and unwind from a stressful day. However, nobody would have imagined that this particular patio, the fire pit, and the backyard would become sinister connotations. In July of 2016, Skylar began dating a friend's cousin. They dated for a short period of time and ended the relationship a few months later. And in early 2017, as Skylar gained popularity through her cheerleading gig, she started dating one of her juniors that went to the same school. His name was Brandon, and Skylar really enjoyed being with him. And as the relationship went on, Skylar fell head over heels over Brandon. Skylar's mother, Kim, also admitted that she seemed at a much healthier place mentally and physically while dating Brandon. And as the relationship went on, Skylar even started looking healthier, as she had gained more weight, and it seemed as if her eating disorder and other troubles were now under control. And with so many improvements that came about from this relationship, Kim was finally at ease, knowing that her daughter was on her way to a happier and a healthier life. The relationship between Skylar and Brandon became serious very quickly, and as the responsible parent that she was, Skylar's mother, Kat, thought it was a good idea for her daughter to get on birth control. And so the mother arranged an appointment with a local gynecologist, and when the date approached, the two jumped into their family SUV and made their way to the gynecologist's office. Once they arrived, they checked in with the receptionist, and Skylar's mother sat in the waiting room while Skylar walked into the gynecologist's office. However, shortly after, Kat realized that the appointment was taking a really long time. So as curious she was, she got up from her seat, walked towards the doctor's office's door, and when she got near the doctor's door, she noticed that her daughter was crying profusely in the doctor's office. And as a worried mother, Kat approached her daughter and asked her why she was crying. Skylar began to explain to her mother very nonchalantly that it was a very intimidating process, and the fact that it was her very first gynecologist visit just made her really scared and caused her to cry, which is a perfectly reasonable explanation of why you might cry on your first gynecologist visit. Except, that was far from the truth. You see, although it was Skylar's first gynecologist visit, that was not the reason why she was crying. While in the gynecologist's office, Skylar was informed that she was 36 weeks into her pregnancy and that she would be giving birth to the very child in 10 weeks. The doctor obviously expressed great concerns about this situation, but Skylar had pleaded the doctor to profusely give her the birth control prescriptions anyways, as she was afraid of her parents finding out. The doctor agreed and prescribed her the birth control pills even though she was not pregnant. However, a new problem was on the rise. After a few days would be Skylar's prom. But she refused to tell anyone about it, and went to the prom anyway. And because Skylar had such a thin frame, nobody knew or could tell that she was pregnant. And even after the dance, she didn't tell anyone, including Brandon. She continued to go about her life as normally as possible, until it wasn't. And on July 14th, 2017, that day came. Now this next segment of the story deals with a very disturbing sequence of events, so fair warning to you all before you proceed. July 14th, 2017 was a perfect summer day. A blue sky with white cotton candy clouds and the sun pouring down over the small city. Skylar was in her grandmother's pool, laughing with her boyfriend and her cousins when her cell phone rang. And so Skylar got herself out of the pool, grabbed a towel to quickly cover up, and walked towards her cell phone. And when she answered the phone, to her surprise, it was the police. And they were waiting for her right in front of her doorstep. Moments later, Skylar was in an 8x10 interrogation room, and Skylar's parents had no idea why the police would want to talk to their daughter. Now, this is what allegedly transpired between Skylar's first gynecologist visit and her sit-down with the police in July. Upon Brooke's visit, the gynecologist called the police as she felt something was off about Skylar's intention to hide her pregnancy. And the fact that shortly after, the gynecologist heard rumors about Skylar having a baby and burying it in her backyard, which really set the alarm off for the gynecologist. And during the interrogation, the police told Skylar that she was not in any trouble and that they just wanted to talk to her. However, Skylar cracked under pressure and ended up telling the police everything that happened. According to Skylar, her baby girl was born on the 7th of May of 2017. But when it was, she was apparently already dead. She tried everything to resuscitate the baby, but to no avail. She then buried the baby in her backyard because she wanted to keep everything a secret. And it's important to note that Skylar was incredibly adamant about her not being guilty of killing the baby, as it was already dead when she had her. During the interrogation, Skylar also revealed that the father of the baby was the boyfriend that she dated briefly before Brandon, and that she had named the baby Annabelle. This entire situation was a surprise to everyone except for Skylar herself. She also told the police the location in her backyard where the stillborn was buried. And so while Skylar returned home after being released on bail to wait for her trial, the police went to the backyard of the family's home and with no difficulty retrieved the stillborn, who was buried in a very shallow makeshift grave. The baby was then sent to a forensic pathologist. However, what was revealed from the pathologist's report turned this case upside down. The contents of the report caused the police to invite Skylar for a second time down to the police station.
Where'd you put her? No, I mean, like, before the lighter. Where was she? Okay, and then where? Okay. In the hole? So you dug the hole first? Okay. And then you put her in the hole? Okay, and what'd you do? And where'd you put the... It's alright, look. It is what it is. You can't change it, Skylar. You're just...
I'm scared I'm afraid.
You are telling us what happened. Nothing's going to change what happened, okay? But your intention was to try to cremate her. So what part did you try to light?
I guess I just...
Part of the remains. Like, did you start, like, at the bottom, the top? Okay.
Did you have anything else or use anything to help try to...
The report showed that there were attempts to burn the baby with fire. And when questioned about this, Skylar confessed that she tried to burn the legs of the baby in an attempt to cremate her stillborn. Her detailed confession and the details of the report were an identical match, which left her family in utter shock of what their daughter was capable of. Following this significant confession, Skylar was arrested immediately and charged with reckless homicide. And when her trial started, Skylar had additional charges against her, including aggravated murder, involuntary manslaughter, endangering children, and abuse with corpse. This would have led her to a life sentence if found guilty, and Skylar had denied all of the new charges. However, shortly after the trial started, something interesting happened. A forensic pathologist came along and said that the initial report was actually incorrect, and the revised correct version of the report detailed that there were no apparent burn marks on the baby. And this piece of new finding would play a critical role in Skylar's defense. Skylar's lawyer claimed that Skylar's initial confession to the murder of her baby was false. They argued that Skylar was ultimately coerced and manipulated by the cops to give a false confession, including the details where she specified specific body parts or where she had attempted to burn and cremate her stillborn. Now, as a non-pathologist, none of this makes sense. How do you, as a forensic pathologist, say that there were burn marks to specific body parts, then say there were absolutely no burn marks? Through a 3-year-long legal battle, the court ended up ruling that the prosecutors did not prove their case, rendering Skylar's entire confession as unsupported evidence. And with no evidence, the charges of aggravated murder, child endangerment, and involuntary manslaughter were all dropped. And ultimately, Skylar was only charged with one crime, which would be abuse of a corpse. Following the trial, Skylar ended up attending college and even held a part-time job at the very law firm that represented her in this particular court case. Her probation was terminated in 2020, and in 2022, she won a bid to have her records of conviction completely sealed. However, although this case has now been officially closed, there are a couple of factors in this case that raises some eyebrows. Before Skylar birthed her baby in her own family home bathroom, she made some alarming Google searches that included, "How do I get rid of a baby?" And also, although not proven in court, the prosecutors believe that the mother, Kat, was aware of her daughter's pregnancy all along. Why? Because upon Skylar's first visit, the gynecologist accidentally sent the results of the pregnancy to Kat's number. Having seen the report through a text, Kat frantically asks Skylar to explain herself and even tells her that her life will be over. According to Skylar, she successfully fooled her to believe that it was a mistake and that she was in fact not pregnant. Investigators also believe that the motive of Kat sealing the truth of her daughter's pregnancy was that she was a mother who was obsessed with having an imagery of an all-around perfect family. These are also the text messages that Skylar texted to her mother just hours after she buried her infant daughter in her backyard. She is seen texting the following messages: "I'm literally speechless with how happy I am. My belly is back, OMG. And I'm never, ever, ever, ever letting to get it like this again. You're about to see me look freaking better than before." The mother is seen then replying enthusiastically, "That is what I'm talking about." Another text message sent after the birth took place. Brooke is seen texting her mother saying that she is excited that she had lost 20 pounds, in which Kat responds excitedly by saying that she's her hero. I mean, if you knew that your daughter had a history of eating disorder and came along and said that she lost 20 pounds in a matter of a couple of days, would you not have any questions for her? Wouldn't you ask your daughter as a mother if this has anything to do with the text message that she received from the gynecologist earlier this month? What are your thoughts on this case? Was the verdict justified? Was she guilty? Make sure to comment below if I missed anything and your thoughts on this case. And if you made it this far into the video, I hope you and your family have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.